it's very difficult to get 100% buy-in from everyone across the company. Always someone is going to have a problem with what you've written. And I think if you try to get buy-in from, I don't know if you've seen that meme online, but there's like a pizza where half of there's like a roast chicken and then there's like M&Ms on it and like stuff. And it's like, that's kind of what happens when everybody has something to say about the website. So it's probably not great to go 100% buy-in because you're going to end up with a pizza like that. But I do want to talk about this kind of crazy messaging experience that I tried once for getting buy-in across the company. And I think it worked for this particular product. So we were launching a...
Hey everyone, welcome to On Messaging, a show for B2B product marketers on how to create messaging that resonates with your audience. On the show today, I have Madeleine Work, Senior Product Marketing Manager at Chili Piper, and now Head of Marketing at PortPro. If you know Madeleine or follow her on LinkedIn, you know she's witty, a great writer, and a tremendous voice in product marketing space. I really enjoyed this conversation because of the tactical advice she shares and some really good laughs. During our conversation, you'll learn the process of getting internal buy-in on your messaging, how to A/B test website messaging, balancing creativity and clarity in your messaging, how to create continuous feedback loops, why product launches are ongoing and why you should repeat yourself, and so much more. If you enjoy this podcast, don't forget to subscribe and follow it on your favorite podcast app, YouTube, and Substack. It's the best way to get notified of every new episode. All right, let's jump into the conversation. Madeleine, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Of course. You were highly recommended. I think there's a few people that recommended you come on the show. Colin Majak was one. Michelle Nieberding was one as well. They spoke very highly of you. And I was like, all right, fine. We'll have her on the show. So here we are. So thank you so much for coming on.
Amazing. It's so nice to hear.
All right, so let's jump right into it. You have made the switch from content marketing into product marketing.
Yes.
Can you share a little bit about what led you to make the switch and maybe any advice that you have for someone who is in the same situation right now?
Yeah. So I started my career as kind of just a content person. So at my last company, I was one of like 3 people on the marketing team, and my title was content specialist, which basically meant that I did anything related to words. So if something had words in it, then I was responsible for it. So that kind of was a very broad scope, and it covered both product marketing and content marketing, because it was like messaging on the page, messaging document, sales enablement, plus all of the blogs and SEO strategy. Oh, cool. And so when I moved into Chili Piper, I started as a content marketing manager, and my boss at the time, she asked me what my favorite parts of marketing were to do. And I told her that I really loved the messaging. I really loved landing pages. I loved like listening to sales calls and understanding like key nuggets and like figuring out ways to speak to our target audience. Yeah. But I don't really like SEO, and I don't really like blogs, and I don't really like social media that much. And she's like, well, it sounds like you don't like content marketing that much. And so as I was at Chili Pepper, I slowly started to make the switch into product marketing. So I started to kind of, the benefit of working at a startup is that there's always more projects than people to do them. So anytime there's a gap on the team or something that needs to be done and nobody to do it related to product marketing, I kind of stepped in and tried to take that over. Awesome. So the person who was managing the website left, so I took over managing the website, like took over managing some of the landing pages, and then eventually a space opened up on the team, and I just officially made the switch. Yeah. So from my experience, for other people who are trying to move from content marketing to product marketing, I think working at a startup is a great place to be, because there's always going to be the bandwidth is always going to be an issue. There's always going to be gaps you can fill. And so just working at a startup, slowly making your way into product marketing. That's not the only way to do it, but that's how I did it.
Yeah, that's very helpful. I mean, there's always so much to do when the team is small, and it's like, yes. All right, well, we need someone to do this. We need someone to do that. And someone has to raise their hand and say, all right, I'll do it. I'll take it. But what's awesome too, is that you had a really good boss who asked a really good question. And that is, what do you like to do?
Exactly. Yes.
You're not always going to have someone that you report to that asks that question. It's more, a lot of times it's, hey, we need you to do this, just go do it so we can check it off and it's done. But actually getting asked that, I feel like a lot of what you're doing just correlated really, really well with product marketing anyways. I mean,
Right.
messaging, sales enablement, website. And one of the takes that we've had on the show was that product marketers should be good writers as well,
Yes.
and should be writing copy and should be writing content as in like maybe not writing out the whole blog, but at least coming from the lens of the product, of the market, of the customer, and can be a core contributor to a content piece that a content marketer can then kind of rely on from that knowledge and finish it out. But what's also helpful is someone who can write it and articulate it really well. So that's been a hot take recently on the show, but I love how that correlates. All right, let's jump into some messaging stuff. And I wanted to kick it off by asking, what's your approach to getting buy-in on messaging from across the whole company? What's that
Yeah,
like for you?
this is a great question. And so to start off, it's very difficult to get 100% buy-in from everyone across the company. Always someone is going to have a problem with what you've written. And I think if you try to get buy-in from, I don't know if you've seen that meme online, but there's like a pizza where half of there's like a roast chicken and then there's like M&Ms on it and like stuff. And it's like, that's kind of what happens when everybody has something to say about the website. So it's probably not great to get 100% buy-in because you're going to end up with a pizza like that. But I do want to talk about this kind of crazy messaging experience that I tried once for getting buy-in across the company. And I think it worked for this particular product. So we were launching a email scheduling product that's specifically for revenue reps. So it's for the end user. And at our company, like 60% of the people at our company would be the end user and would be the person actually using this product. So I wanted to kind of democratize the messaging process a little bit. So I created like kind of like a landing page that they could visualize. And then I asked everyone to share ideas for what they think the H1 could be of that landing page. So I gave 3 different buckets. One was like a persona bucket, one was like a competitor bucket, and one was like a value bucket. So for persona bucket, it would be like scheduling link for sales reps. The competitor bucket would be like Calendly, but for B2B. And then the value bucket would be like smarter scheduling or more scheduling or more times scheduling, less times, or more time selling, less time scheduling. Sorry. More time selling, less time scheduling. So there are these 3 buckets. I gave them examples and I was like, fill in ideas that you have for the different H1s that it could be. And then I gave everyone a week, and then a week later we voted on it. And from those votes, I ran it through a winter test. And then I also did like A/B tests on the website using Mutiny to end up with the H1 that we have on the page today, which is less time scheduling, more time selling. Nice. And that was one of the submitted results from people. So it was a cool way to get people more involved in the messaging process. And I think the reason that it worked in this particular instance is that the people who were submitting ideas were the end users. So they were like sharing H1s that they resonated with, like they were looking at the value of the product and what stood out to them. And I think that's kind of why it worked. And also because I did the additional layer of like a winter test and A/B tests on using Mutiny. So it wasn't just, I went off based on vibes. Like it was like data backed vibes, I guess.
Oh, for sure. That's awesome. You almost got lucky a little bit too.
Yes.
Because you essentially did like a winter test prior to your actual winter test, because
exactly.
People who could potentially, be like the actual users for it that you're working with internally. Do you think that anyone was maybe hesitant with providing like really transparent feedback since you work together, since you kind of like know each other? Or
that's an interesting question. I'm sure there might have been some people that were afraid to speak up because they didn't want to be too bold or too, I guess, rude or like standoffish, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people actually, I guess just have a relationship with Chili Piper where people are okay with giving very direct feedback, which I really appreciate.
For
I would
sure.
much rather have direct feedback than no feedback at all.
Well, I mean, it's
Yeah.
just helpful for the business in
Yeah,
general.
exactly.
If you're not
Exactly.
honest with each other, like you're only going to be able to move forward so far.
Totally.
If you have someone
Totally.
who's bold and upfront, like, yeah, I don't like this. But also, if they're giving feedback that actually, I mean, you went with a data backed decision. If someone's giving you feedback that has like actual value behind it versus another thing we've talked about on the show is like when you get feedback across the company that is coming from a bias. How do you filter that out? How do you filter out the biases or recency bias as well? And that's a
Yeah.
very tough thing to do, especially
Yeah.
when it's coming from someone who's in leadership. But I mean, you
Yes.
really like check the
Yes.
box. I mean, internally, you reviewed it with people that would be using it. Use Wynter, Mutiny. What was Mutiny like? I haven't heard that come up too much on the show. So can you kind of like, what's the A/B test look like? What did you A/B test?
So with that one, it was a very simple A/B test where I just switched out the H1. So I kept everything else the same, but just changed the H1 on the test or on the page. And because it was a free trial, or I'm sorry, a free forever situation, a try for free. Sorry, because it was a try for free CTA. There's a lot more clicks, so it was pretty easy. The problem, the tough thing about Mutiny is that it's hard to get enough traffic a to make any kind of a decision, because it takes a lot of traffic in order to get to a point where you're confident that the conversion rate was truly higher because of this H1. So we honestly did not get to that point, but it was just to a point to make sure that it wasn't totally terrible. Like it was more like I want to make sure that the H1 that we ended up going with because of the winter test and the internal test wasn't like so terrible that nobody was clicking on the CTA. Because in the end, it was kind of all the same, the H1s that we tried. Yeah.
Okay. How much
Yeah.
value do you put on the H1 versus other copy and some of the messaging that's on a page like that?
I think the H1 is the easiest to test in an A/B test. I wouldn't say I put the most value on it, but it would be everything above the fold is what I would put value on. So the combination of the H1, the subhead, and the image. Like if it's not exciting enough to make you want to keep scrolling, then you've got to reevaluate.
What's the point?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I think I saw like a hot jar or like heat mapping of a page, and it kind of showed like the general rule of like where people are looking when they're looking at a page.
Yeah.
And how much time they actually spend looking at the page is like just so minimal, and people are just looking at headlines. And a lot of times we can get into like when you're writing copy for a website page, obviously you have like the typical structure is like side to side you have a headline image, and then opposite you have a headline image and some copy underneath of it. And a lot of times the copy or like the bulleted points underneath those kind of like H2 or H3 headlines isn't even being read. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, gosh, I spent so much time on that and no one is even reading it.
I know. I went back and forth with my product manager editing that for 5 rounds. Nobody's reading it.
Yep.
Yeah, knife to the heart.
I know. And I think that's why like those images, I found the images that are on the page hold a ton of weight because people actually spend time looking at them. And if you're actually using an image of the UI of your product, it's going to help a lot because it gives just kind of like a realistic expectation for the buyer of what they're looking at, what they can expect.
Yeah, I'm so grateful to work at a company that lets us show the UI and that encourages it. I've worked at places where they're like, "Oh no, we don't want to let our competitors see our UI." Like, like nobody cares. It's fine.
Yeah, they're not going to steal our UI and our colors
Yeah, our
and
UI
branding.
isn't that great, you guys. Like,
There's nothing to steal here.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. Okay, so Chili Piper, it has multiple products. I mean, spread across. You just mentioned some of them: scheduling, forms, lead routing. And in our last episode, we talked a little bit about platform messaging. I want to talk about it a little bit more too. How do you message for like that full platform and keep it from like not feeling disconnected or too broad from the individual product lines?
Yeah. The short answer is that it's very hard, and I'm not really sure if we've done it the best. Like, there's always ways to improve. But so what I've seen in other companies and is so easy to do is that as you add more functionality, it's so easy to water down your product and then just get to the like what your product the value that your product provides in the end. So that's how you end up with H1s that are like drive more pipeline or like generate revenue. There's like I don't know. If you're not driving pipeline as a marketing software, then like I don't know what you're doing. That's like what most marketing softwares are built to do. So the way we went about it was instead of focusing on like that end value that we bring, like when you ask customers like what did Chili Piper do, they're always like, oh, increased conversions or helped us drive pipeline. Like instead of focusing on that, we focused on the how, like how are we helping people bring that value across all of our products. And we went back and forth internally. We had a bunch of meetings to try to figure out what that one thing was that was true across all of our products. And what we came up with was improving conversion across demand points. So essentially, anything that is between the handoff between marketing and sales, anything that is improving the conversion rate between the handoff between marketing and sales. So it could be like if you're downloading gated content leads, we have a way to route them to the right rep and have SLAs in place to make sure the rep follows up. Or if it's, someone come to your website filling out a form, they fill out the form, we route them and show them a calendar module so they can book a meeting right on the spot. Or if it's like, if someone cold calling a rep, they're able to automatically, or if a rep is cold calling a prospect, they can hand off to the right rep and get it scheduled within 30 seconds while they're on the phone. So anything that happens between the handoff between marketing and sales would be something that we covered. And we call that demand conversion. Okay. I'm not sure if demand conversion is too jargony. Like we're still working on it. We're still trying to figure out if that's the right messaging. But that was kind of the goal in building that messaging and how we went across it. That was the first part. And then the second part is talking about ourselves within the competitive landscape that we operate in. So we know that when buyers are evaluating us, they're not looking at us in a vacuum. Like I'm sure they're evaluating us alongside other tools, alongside their manual process, and they're trying to figure out what is the best solution for them. So on our website, on our demand conversion page, we very clearly paint that landscape. So first it's like, these are all the tools. Here's how Chili Piper fits in with all of these different tools. So I think a lot of companies are kind of afraid to talk about the competition. They're like, oh no, like pretend we don't have competitors, like we're the only one, like we're helping you improve your manual processes and nobody else can do it. And I think that's kind of, one, it's not very nice to buyers because it's so hard for buyers to make a decision about which software to go with. There's so many different options out there and everyone's only talking about how great they are. It's really hard to make a decision. And two, it's just not the truth. Like you don't operate in a vacuum. Like there's other things out there, and your buyers don't. They're seeing the full picture. They're not just looking at you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time they're having a conversation with you, anyways, they've already done their research. I mean, there's so much information that's available for free online.
Yes.
Watch a YouTube video, go to competitor websites, go to G2, talk to a friend. Right. You've maybe worked at another company in the marketing department, you come to a new one and you've used a different tool somewhere else. Like there's just, people know if you're faking it essentially of like, oh, we're the only,
they really do.
We're the only tool out there. I mean, I'm familiar with Chili Piper, but where I work, we use HubSpot and
right.
HubSpot does some of the same stuff. I'm sure probably not everything, and same too of like, we talked in a recent episode about like feature parity. At some point, there's going to be parity in all the features that, competition is going to be doing the same stuff. They're going to be able to, achieve the same value. But how you actually do it, like you said, is a really smart approach. How did you come up with the word like demand conversion? did that like
Um,
a lot of thinking?
It was
Did the
like a lot
customer say
of
it?
brainstorming
Yeah.
situations. So like it was like Miro boards of like what we do, how we can call it, lots of docs, lots of back and forth. There was like a focus group of our two co-CEOs, two fractional people we were working with, myself, a couple people from product. It was like a focus group, and we had lots
Yeah.
of brainstorming sessions and docs to figure it out. We were between like demand conversion, there was like pipeline conversion, there was like inbound conversion. There were lots of different variations on the conversion theme.
Yeah.
But we
Nice.
ended up with demand conversion.
Yeah. Cool. I love it. Well, thank you for explaining all that. Yeah, I love the think about how we drive value versus what value we drive. Like you said, it's
Totally.
easy from a platform perspective to water down your messaging. I mean,
Totally.
everyone listening to the show, that you know how it is. We've all seen the watered down messaging. We know what it looks like. We can pick it out
Yeah.
like a sore thumb. Um, but yeah, it seems like I, who said it? I mean, Robert Kaminsky's called that out. And I'm seeing
Yes.
with Anthony Pierre as well, of like stick to what you're known for. I mean, I think Calendly is one that does it really well as well. Of like they stick to what they're known for,
Yep.
and that helps
Yep.
in their messaging and what people know them as. So I'm sure maybe that's probably one of your competitors as well.
Yeah,
In some way.
I've heard them come up a few times.
Yeah. I love it. All right. So I've read some of your LinkedIn posts. Some of them are absolutely hilarious. And I also was looking at some of the pages on Chili Piper, and there's a lot of creativity in the messaging and the copy that's on there. I love it, especially from a B2B side of things. Some of us B2B marketers are a little afraid to get creative, but how do you balance that creativity and clarity in your messaging? And I mean, just specifically Chili Piper, it's like very playful, it's edgy. But how do you make sure it doesn't get away from communicating the value?
That's such a good question. Yeah, I think it can sometimes get to a point where you're like on the edge of like being a little bit too edgy, and like actually explaining the value. But I think for me, the most part, like having this playful, edgy tone, it kind of makes it easier to communicate value in a lot of ways because I'm just writing the way that I talk. And when you write the way that you talk, then you're saying exactly what you want to say and not getting all tied up in the professional words and like the jargon and stuff. So
Yeah.
someone, I don't know, like instead of writing a headline that's like digitally transform your lead routing process and create business efficiencies, like we would just say lead routing doesn't have to be your full-time job. Like it's very casual, like it doesn't have to be your full-time job. Like I would say that when I'm talking to someone on the street about my product. So I think in some of my personal LinkedIn posts, I can get a little bit too edgy sometimes. But I think, yeah, yeah. But I feel like being able to write the way that you talk, it just helps. It actually helps drive that value in my experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard someone say, and I'm still like kind of munching on this opinion. Like copy that is written as in write the way that you talk is good copy, but great copy is writing the way that your customer thinks. Have you heard that? What do you think of that?
I've heard variations of that. And I feel like I agree. I actually feel like some of the best messaging that I've come up with haven't really been messaging that I've come up with. It's things that I've heard on Gong calls. So like something we hear time and time again is ops people reps complaining about unfair lead distribution. So they'll say like, if I could live another day and hear no more complaints about unfair lead distribution, I would be happy. So like that, no more complaints about unfair lead distribution is the headline of one of our pages. And we did an A/B test with Mutiny on that one, and that was one of the only ones that actually had a statistically significant result. Like that's one that people are like, oh my gosh, I resonate with that. Like please, no more complaints about unfair lead distribution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the ones that people are going to resonate the most with are the people that are in the same shoes. They're going to be feeling the same way. And I think it was Alex Eaton when he was on the show, and he's talked a little bit about user evidence, and they put their customer words in their like H1s at the top of their pages. They call it customer evidence of what their customers are actually saying about the product. And
Yeah.
if that's the first thing that a viewer is reading when they come to the page, and it's going to resonate, like that's a killer headline. That's really good. Do you think that marketing to other marketers is easier or harder?
It's easier in some ways and harder in some ways. It's it's fun. It's easier because I am the persona, so I understand what the pains of marketers are, because I live and breathe them all the time. So it's really easy to make like funny content or jokes or like create content that speaks to the problem because I'm facing that problem myself. And it's harder because I post about this a lot. It's harder, but because marketers never click UTM links. Like they're like
True.
they see an ad and they like Google the company and click on the organic result. They do not click on ads. They do not click on email links. They are very elusive. But what's funny about marketers is they don't click on UTM links, but we have, on our demo form, we ask a question like, how did you hear about us? And marketers give the most detailed answers ever. They're like, I met your team at a trade show a couple of years ago, and then I started following your founder on LinkedIn. I liked a lot of her posts. Then I started following the company, and then I saw an ad that you guys did, and then I Googled your company, and then I got to your like they did like the whole life story on that form page, but they won't click the UTM links. They're so fun.
That's so classic. That is so true. Oh my gosh. That is nice though. I mean, you almost think as a marketer filling out like, how did you hear about us? That's one of the pains of being a marketer, of like how people actually hear about the company.
Yeah,
and you're kind of like
exactly.
just giving it to the marketer who's on the receiving end of like, here you go. Like, this is how I heard about you.
Yes, here's exactly how I heard.
But I'm not going to click on your UTM link. And when I send the link to someone else, I'm going to strip out the UTM.
Yeah.
I've done that.
Me too. I do that every single time. I do that every time.
Like if I send it in Teams or Slack or whatever.
Yeah, I definitely delete the UTMs first before I share.
Oh my gosh. It's classic pain. Yep.
So funny.
Yeah, I've heard mixed answers to that as well. Of like, it's harder. Some people say it's easier because you are the audience. If you're a product marketer marketing to other product marketers.
Right, exactly.
Like, you understand the pains, but you better create stuff that resonates, because otherwise they're going to find you out. They're going to know whether you're good at your job or not.
That's true. The pressure is higher.
Pressure's higher.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
But also, where I work, we the marketing, our buyers are in the IT space, and it's also tough too. I think just marketing in general it's a tough job to understand the audience and to know the tools and the technicalities and what's going on in the market. It's just in general, it's not easy. So, but that's part of why we do it. Part of why we love it. It's different every day.
Yeah, exactly. So much fun.
I love it. All right. So what's your process for refining messaging over time? Kind of how do you, I know we talked about this a little bit, but how do you gather feedback, test, and then iterate to make sure everything's kind of like staying sharp? Nothing's getting old, getting out of style.
Yeah, this is a great question. Also very challenging. But I think one of the first things that I do is make sure that there's a clear feedback loop between myself and the sales team. So first, whenever I publish a new page, I share it in our internal Slack channel and I ask for feedback. And I say like, please share any feedback. I'd rather you give me scathing feedback than get it from a customer or have someone not convert on this page. And the reps have really taken that to heart. So they have no qualms with giving scathing feedback on any of the pages that I've published. And so that's really important for the beginning. They'll find typos, they'll find things that are that they don't think resonates. They send me long voice notes with things that they think could be better,
Nice.
which I really appreciate because they're really on the front lines and talking to customers all the time. And that's true for new pages that I publish. And also, they're using all of the old pages that I'm using. So if they ever come across anything from a different page that they're sharing, then like I have that open feedback loop with them.
Yeah.
But other than that, I just kind of have a cadence of when I refresh things. It's really challenging because I'm a solo product marketer and
Okay.
like our team in general is very small. So it's hard to really keep everything fresh all of the time. So I just kind of have a cadence. So like right now we're working on refreshing our product pages. Next we're going to refresh our competitor pages. Then we're going to refresh our demand conversion page, and then the cycle starts again. So once you finish through the cycle, then it's time to start over.
How often?
Yeah.
What's that cadence look like?
We're trying to go for like twice a year refreshing the product pages, competitor, like doing a full revamp, and then anytime like one-off feedback from the reps, we'll just update that immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. Feedback right away. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you are sending that page to the sales team, are you sending it as like a preview page, or are you sending it after it's already published and up?
We're sending it after it's published and up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're kind of like I have the mentality of like ship it and then fix it instead of like try to get it perfect and then ship it, because it's never going to be perfect. So you might as well ship it and fix problems as you're moving instead of like waiting, and then publish it, and then there's still going to be problems anyways. So yeah.
All right. So I had another question related to that. And you said that there's reps that are using maybe older pages that you have sent to them, and they're sending them out when they get off their first call and they want to send some documentation after their first call. Or is everything that you are creating as far as like product marketing collateral live on the website, or do you create any like PDFs, one pagers, or anything like that?
So yes and yes. Everything lives on the website, and any PDFs that we have are also available on the website for download.
Gotcha.
So the website is built to be our single source of truth. This being said, there's still a lot of outdated content on there. So yeah, yeah, we try our best, but it's hard with a small team.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I totally understand that. And it sounds like you have a really good cadence of updating twice a year as well. I know not everyone has that cadence of being able to get things like updated all the time. Sometimes it'll just sit and be forgotten, or if a lot of the sales enablement is sitting in a SharePoint or like some type of shared drive, it just goes up there, and then you go in and it's like, oh, the last time I touched that was 2023. Are people using this? Oh no. I should probably update it. That definitely happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always fun when you're listening to sales calls and they pull out something and you're like, oh,
Like, oh
I
God,
didn't
no.
It's not that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I had that experience recently. I was like, is this actually being sent out? And it was like, yes. I was like, oh
no.
my goodness. Oh, we need to update that right now. All right. So let's talk a little bit about messaging projects or launches that you're especially proud of, and maybe can you walk us through the process and some key takeaways from that experience?
Yeah. So I talked about this a little bit earlier, but last June we launched our demand conversion platform. So a lot of people know Chili Piper. Well, there's kind of like this spectrum of Chili Piper awareness. Like some people just think we're a cool brand. Some people think that we're kind of like Calendly, but they're not really sure what we do. Something with scheduling, probably. Yeah. And then some people like know what our main product is, which is like you go to a website, you fill out the form, book a demo, and then it's basically increases the speed to lead that way. But most people don't know that we have this full platform of a bunch of different products. And so last June, we launched a chat product, and then we also rebranded to be this demand conversion platform. So you can, any demand from any touch point that your marketing team is creating, we can convert that demand into pipeline. That was the message that we went to market with. Yeah. So it was very fun. Like the we got a bunch of accolades from that. Like on LinkedIn, everyone thought that our launch was great, our new website was great. Like everyone thought it was great. We were like living up on cloud nine. It was like the best feeling. And then a few months later, we realized that nobody realized that we launched a chat as part of our launch. Like they kind of just thought that we did a rebrand, like a marketing rebrand. They didn't realize that there was a new product that we had brought to market. So my main takeaway is that nobody's really paying attention to what you're doing. And you have to say the same thing over and over and over again in order for it to land. And also in marketing, it's totally fine. You just do it again. Like in marketing, your campaign dies right away, and you just have to do it again. You just have to do it again and again and again until people finally get it. Like once it gets to the point where you feel like, oh my God, stop it. I know you have chat. Like I get it. Like once it gets to that point, like you're good. You're golden. So after we did our big launch of demand conversion platform, we relaunched chat 5 months later when we realized that nobody knew that we launched chat. So product launches are never ending. It just never ends. You just say it again and again and again.
That's
just fun.
I love it. Because a lot of times product launches are done as a one-time thing.
Yeah.
All right, we got it out. We shipped it. We sent the email. We updated the website. Maybe we sent out a PR. And awesome. That's it. It's done. We
Check.
can move on.
Next one.
We can go to the next product launch. But I'm of the same opinion as well. Like it's something that is... Launches are kind of like a continuous thing. Like, and that was one mistake I made early in my career of not repeating myself. And it's okay to repeat yourself because, especially if you're relying on like a social media algorithm or someone to open the email of a launch, most people are going to miss it. I mean, if you look at the open rates on emails, like what 15% is good. That's 15% of your audience is opening. That doesn't mean they're reading it.
Yeah.
And how many people are actually going to someone's website to see if they've updated anything nowadays? No one does that. So I think do it again. Never stop shipping. It's great advice. And that's bold too. Not everyone would be willing to like realize, hey, this chat feature that we sent out, kind of at the same time didn't really go so well. And we should do it again and see how it resonates. When you did launch it again, how did it go?
Oh, it went much better. So we drove a good amount of pipeline, a lot of meetings. A lot of people are just coming. Our current customers are bringing up chat in meetings that they're having. They're like, "Oh, I saw that you have a chat. Tell me more about it." So it's been great. The number of mentions of our chat product has gone up in Gong calls. It's much better. But we can always launch it again. We'll probably launch it again.
Do another launch. Look out for it, people.
Why not?
Is this like a web chat feature, like a web chat widget that lives on the website that people...
Yeah, it's like a competitor to like a Drift chatbot. So yeah, exactly like that.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Love it. All right, so let's get into some of our later questions. These are 3 questions that I ask everyone that comes on the show. But what's one piece of messaging advice that you would give to listeners that they can take away and implement tomorrow?
So I think Gong is probably the most useful tool that I have for measuring the effectiveness of messaging because sales reps simply aren't going to use messaging that they don't think is working. Sales reps are motivated to use messaging that gets them to quota. So if it's not landing, then it's not working. And so something that I did after a launch is I checked Gong to see whether they were using the slide deck that we shared. So just go in, you can search to see if if they're sharing screen, and you can even filter by if they're sharing like a slide deck. So I did that, and most of them were sharing it. So I'm like, okay, success. We did it right. Because if they weren't sharing it, I don't think reps are lazy. I think they're motivated to do what works. So if it's not working, then they're not going to do it. So they're kind of like my number one like gut check to see if something is landing.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
All right, so go into Gong or go into Gong's competitor and see what the sales team is using. I completely agree with that too. Like,
yeah,
A lot of people who are working in sales, oftentimes they're motivated by the challenge and by making money, especially if they're at a good company that allows them to make as much money as they would like if they're selling. I love it. It's a good thought, a good thing to implement tomorrow.
Yes.
All right. So a more personal question here. If you could put it into a single sentence, what is living all about?
That's a really tough question.
It is.
I think for me, living is about feeling a little bit uncomfortable. So I think if you're not a little bit uncomfortable, life just doesn't feel as rewarding. So maybe that means like you're learning, like for me, it could be like I'm learning something new. I just have two kids. We were talking about this before we started. I have two kids, and juggling parenting with work is a little uncomfortable. It's a little challenging. But that's kind of where I feel the happiest. I feel like if I'm not being challenged, then I get kind of complacent, and bored, and life just isn't as full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that. Thank you for sharing. I get a different answer every single time, and that's what makes that question great.
Yeah, I love
awesome. Yeah, and I totally feel that too. I like the challenge, like feeling a little bit busy. Feel like I'm a little bit more on when I'm busy.
Yes.
And
yes.
yeah, anyone listening, working with the little kids, you know the grind. You know the grind.
Solidarity.
Yeah, it's very rewarding though.
Yeah.
Awesome. So if listeners found what you shared today valuable, what's one thing they could do to lift you up? Where can they find you?
Yeah, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and send me a little note about what you liked. I screenshot all positive feedback I get throughout my entire life, and I put it into a folder called Madeleine Love. And I look to that anytime. Anytime I'm having a bad day, I just pull out my Madeleine Love folder and look through the nice notes.
Uh-huh. Oh, I love that. You should have a little wall in your office or something, Madeleine.
Yeah, just print out all
love.
of the screenshots and put them on my wall.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make
do
I'm not
it.
going to put it on my wall. That might be a little pretentious. I'm gonna make a little folder and save everything. That's a great idea.
Yeah, definitely do it.
Go look at it. These people like you, Josh. They like what you're doing. They're your friend.
You're doing great.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
I love that. Well, Madeleine, thank you so much for coming on. This is a really fun conversation. It was great to listen and to learn from you as far as what you're doing with messaging and everything that you're doing at Chili Piper. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Of course. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.